Welcome to Mi Gente on Air on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online WSGW.com. Now, here is your host, Larry Rodarte.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mi Gente on Air. Thank you for being with me here today. It is May 1st, 2026, and we've got a very special show today, and we're gearing up for the big weekend. Cinco de Mayo is happening, the 47th annual Cinco de Mayo of Saginaw. And today, my guest is none other than the Parade Grand Marshal, somebody who was picked that we are honoring because of her contributions to our community. And today, my guest, as everybody can see, is Mrs. Della Chentaca. How are you, Tia? How are you? Say hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited about this yet. I am very honored to have been chosen the Grand Marshal for the 47th year of the Cinco de Mayo. This is always an important parade that everybody should join, because it is beautiful. Not only me, but everybody else that's going to follow and be in the parade.
All right. Well, everybody, I am so excited to have my tia here, obviously, and La Unión Cívica Mexicana, which is celebrating the 81st year of its existence. The founders of that organization, one of the 11 men that founded the Civica in 1945, was my grandfather, Joseph V. Diaz, who happens to be my tia's brother. What do you remember about your brother, Joe?
My oldest brother. Well, I remember way back when he was home, maybe a couple of years I remember, when he used to pick me up and call me babe all the time. And when he came over, he would bring me things to enjoy. He knew I was little. And him and his wife were always bringing me things that I enjoyed. And then I remember him when he used to play baseball right at our yard, the big yard we had, with his brothers.
Well, Tia Della, you had a lot of siblings, 6 sisters and 4 brothers, and it was a big family.
Yes.
For the children of Sonovio and Cecilia Diaz, who were immigrants to this country,
Yes.
came from the state of Michoacan and the state of Guanajuato. And so you see my tia sitting here with a rebozo around her neck and her Mexican beautiful dress. What are you planning on wearing, tia, tomorrow?
Well, I thought this, or I have a dress, a beautiful dress that I might wear. I don't know, and I got something for my head. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I just don't know what else
Well, Tia,
to say.
when I went over to the house, and I know that you were quite, I felt that you were worried about what I was going to say. And I explained this in a post that, as we get older, and my tia here is almost 95 years old. She'll be 95 on August the 13th this year, si Dios quiere. And through the years, we come from such a large family. And it just has seemed like in the last 2-3 years, I've always had to be the bearer of bad news of people passing in my family, in our family. And so I think my tia was worried, what is he going to say now? She was kind of preparing herself, and her daughter Eleanor and I were saying, smile, smile, but she was having a hard time smiling because she thought there was going to be bad news, right? And then I come out and I say, Tia, you have been selected and nominated by the Unión Cívica to be the Parade Grand Marshal. What were your thoughts at that moment?
At that moment, I don't know. I opened my big mouth and
You're a little shocked there, huh?
was so shocked and excited after that. And of course, I thought of all the team, your team, that has, done so much with you in this community. And I was just happy, excited, and honored.
Yeah, it's a big honor, Dia, because
Yes.
we have been doing this. Well, the Civica, I've been doing it for the last 18 years, but the Civica, I remember, started the parade in 1980.
I do. I remember a lot of parades, that I always went to the parades whenever I could. And there was one in town in the 70s. It was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I met my husband.
Uncle Jack Chintaka.
Yes.
Yes, I remember.
He was
that
behind
story.
me, whistling behind me, trying to get my attention, of course. And I finally did.
And you were very young, like about
I was
16,
only 15.
15, wow.
Yes.
Well, Tia Della, I'm going to refer to her Tia Della. I can't refer to her anything else. There were actually parades before the 1980 parade that actually kicked off the parades and festivals that we have today.
Yes.
I've seen pictures of right downtown by Kresge's in Saginaw, in the city of Saginaw. The Pan America Club was riding with Ali Sunak, I remember, and she was quite young then. And so what my Tia is referring to is those parades that came along also with the ethnic festival that later came to downtown
And
Saginaw.
I was always waving at everybody.
Yeah, and I asked her when I told her the good news to give me your queen wave. There you go.
It's my right hand.
Well, Thea, what do you remember to those who are listening that call Saginaw home? You were born and raised in Saginaw. She was born on 22nd Street, right by the Gray Iron plant.
Yeah.
And she was la última, I call her. She was the youngest of 12 children to my great-grandparents. And so, unfortunately, she is the last who is living. And we're so proud of her to be 95 years of age and still she's had her battles with her health and all, but she is the strongest woman I know, and the stamina that she has had and what she has gone through. And she and I have had talks, and that's what we're having today, where I've interviewed her and asked her questions about the past. What do you remember about Saginaw when you were a young girl?
When I was a young girl, well, I remember walking with my mother from 29th to Genesee, where all the stores were. And there was a movie theater there, the Mecca Theater, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And we used to go a couple times. I used to talk my mom into going, so we did. She was always rushing. And I remember also a bakery there. I forget what it was called, the Home
Dairy.
Home Dairy.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law, Odelia Diaz, my brother's wife, used to work there. So I used to get my food free. Whenever we wanted, we'd go in there, and that's what we would get.
I want to ask you, Thea, because one of the things that is a real standout that is with us still today is the Potter Street train station. What do you remember about that?
I only remember when your dad drove us to Potter Street train station, and at that time, to me, it looked old, but still good.
It was
In good
good condition.
condition.
Mm-hmm.
But now that it's down, I don't go by there very much, but I have my daughter drive me through there, and it looks terrible. It makes me sad. It really does, because that was a beautiful train station, I thought, at the time,
Well, there are people that are trying to save it still, preservation of the train station, and maybe that's something that you and I can talk about and getting involved with and helping to preserve
that's wonderful.
it. But I remember you telling me a story years ago about your father, Sonovia Diaz, which was my great-grandfather, and how you drove to the train station to say goodbye to him because he was going to see his mother in Kansas City, Kansas, because she had passed away.
Yes.
Do you remember that memory? And
Yes, I was crying because I wanted to go with my dad. and he wouldn't take me. He said I couldn't go. But I would have met my grandmother then,
Yeah.
because he went to see his mother in Kansas City.
Yeah. Epitacia Tenorio
Yes,
Diaz.
so I cried all the way home. Of course, I
What-
felt very bad.
The hub of the Saginaw Latino community at that time was in that area by Potter Street because, of course, St. Joseph Catholic Church was there.
Yes.
On Potter Street, though, there was a cinema there on Potter Street as well as
Yes,
El
yes.
Zapatero, the shoe man, Manuel Herrera.
There was a lot of our Mexican people
Hmm.
in that time that were all over Potter Street that I remember going to the stores. There was a meat market and, so many things. And then also on 6th Street, the same thing. I think it was all
Businesses.
those
Yeah.
people.
Hmm. Now, I remember you also telling me a story of your mother. She used to make cheese from the actual milk of the cows.
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit about that and how she would walk around
Well,
in the First Ward area to sell her 10-cent cheese?
yes, which used to make it at the farm.
Mm-hmm.
My dad used to get the milk, and she would make the cheese and make little round, just like you see them now. And she used to walk. We used to walk from the farm all the way around Washington to 6th Street, 7th, 10th, we would go. Because she had regular customers that she used to sell to.
That must be where I get my entrepreneurial spirit. My great grandma Cecilia, she was a businesswoman on foot who would walk and sell cheese to the Mexican
Yes.
people. She had her customers.
We did a lot of walking.
Thea, you lived on Wolf Road. Now, if any of you remember, on the other side of the bridge, if you're on Outer Drive in Buena Vista, and you cross over the bridge, there's Wolf Road there. And there's a lot of businesses and everything now. But Thea, you remember a time when it was farmland, and that's where your family,
yes.
where you grew up, your
Yes,
first.
we used to walk. I used to have friends from school that lived on Washington and Outer Drive there, So I remember walking through all those streets, coming by with my mom,
And what school was it that you attended?
down school.
Down school in Buena Vista?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I went up to the 8th grade there, and then when we moved, I started going to St. Joe's because we didn't know where else, And I only went there a year, I think, and when I turned 15, there was no more.
Well, you became a city girl.
Yes,
You moved to 29th Street.
yes.
Yeah. Thea, you are going to be approaching your 95th birthday. Si Dios quiere.
See the Oscar.
How do you, let me just translate that for my non-Hispanic listeners. If God is willing, that's what Si Dios quiere means. And how do you feel, Thea, that first of all, did you ever think you'd be this age? And how do you feel being close to 95?
First of all, I want to thank the Lord. He must have me here for a reason. And for one thing, I'm meeting a lot of my 5th and 6th generation kids. Mm-hmm. And they don't even know who I am, really. But I tell them who I am. So some of them know, and then I have grandchildren. I'm in the 5th generation with them. There's about 70 people in my family that I counted.
Wow.
Probably more. I don't know now.
So you're kind of taking after your mother and having all these descendants. Your mother had over 65 grandchildren when she was living.
Oh,
and then
that's
since
right.
then, many more. In the last census count that we had
Yeah.
in 2013, was over 1,000 people.
Yes.
So that's a lot of descendants. And,
Yeah.
as God had said, multiply, and great grandma Cecilia
Yes.
surely did, and so did you, Aunt Della. And I wanted my producer, Matt, to show a picture of her mother. I think it's in one of my pictures that I sent to him. She's the lady on the couch. This is a beautiful picture here of my tia Della when she was 15. Look at that picture with a little braid in her hair. But it's a beautiful picture of her at a time when she was very young in Saginaw and still had just moved to the 29th Street from the farm that they lived on Wolf Road.
Yes.
Is there
That's about when I met my husband.
Oh, what a lucky man, huh?
Yes.
Uncle Jack was. Yes, they were married in 1948, and then they were married all the way till he passed, I believe, in
Right.
2010. So it was a long marriage,
Yes.
and I remember them a lot when I was very young, living in the area there on Hosmer Street. Aunt Della lived on Hosmer, and my family lived on Hamel Street. And, it was all in the area by the baseball diamond. If people
Yes.
remember, they used to even have concerts out there. It was right there on Cumberland and Holland Street, that beginning. I know many people lived in
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
I just saw I went by the house on Hosmer yesterday, and they're putting a new roof. The house is still standing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's my great-grandma Cecilia in her home, which was my Aunt Della's home on 29th Street. Cecilia Rosales Diaz, she came from Huandacareo, Michoacan. In 1919, she immigrated to the United States with her husband, Sonovio Diaz, my grandfather, and my tío Esteban Diaz. And it is from her that we have the descendants, the children who are no longer with us, but my Aunt Della is the last of 12, and she was the baby. And so...
Six daughters
Yeah, 6
and
daughters
four
and 4 sons.
sons.
Yeah, and then 2 died in
she
infancy.
had. Yes.
But I got to tell you, everybody, my tia Della to me, was and is the greatest cook to come out of Saginaw, Michigan. Boy, she learned how to cook just like her mother, who had learned in the old days where they used molcajetes and palotes and really made the great Mexican food
Oh, yeah.
that so many of my family have been privy to through the years. And I was fortunate to learn from her and my mother, Anita Diaz, her niece. They were the 2 greatest cooks that any young boy could ever have and imagine. So the patitos, the rice, the beans, everything that I cook over there at the Civica all comes from this lady and my mother, and what they had shown me through the years. And actually using the chili ancho, the chili guajillo, all those chilies, instead of powders, we actually use the actual chilies. And I can't thank Aunt Della enough for teaching me, a skill that I try to teach to others, and I will. Maybe I'll have a class, Tia, where I'll invite the community. Anybody wants to learn how to make tamales? Because my Tia, tell me, Tia, how did you learn to make tamales?
I learned from my mother.
Yes.
My mother, I used to stand there and watch her, and that's what I learned from. And I also have a daughter named Christina. Everybody knows Christina, I'm sure. She's the only one in my family that likes cooking
Yeah.
and gets behind that table and does everything.
Oh, Chris makes some great jams.
Chris does everything yet. Cans, cooks, makes bread, cans the meat even, like Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God, she's wonderful.
Well, maybe about 2 months ago, I was at my tia Della's house, and we started talking about on the farm and how great grandma would preserve her meat, and it's just amazing to me. Here she's going to be 95 years old, in these visions and memories that she has shared with me, and I'm talking all my life. I was always at tia Della's house with my mother. It's just amazing to me that she's remembering back 80, 90 years. And I thank the Lord, I thank God that she has her mental capabilities, and she's very sharp. She sometimes, Thea, you'll say, "Oh, I can't remember something," and I can't remember either. So it's both of us, but that just comes, and then maybe 2 minutes down the road, we're talking about something else, and it comes right back to us.
Yeah.
And I'll say, "Oh, I remember." So,
and that happens with everybody. It happened this morning.
Yeah.
With Rita.
Well, she is the mother of Rita, Pastor Rita Gallardo, as well as mother-in-law, suegra to Frank Gallardo over at Living Faith Ministries. So she has raised a pastor, and she has been involved through the years with her husband, Jacinto Chentaca, with the boxing. So when we come back out of commercial, I'm going to talk and ask her about those boxing days when she was the first female Hispanic judge way back in the 1970s. And she took on the establishment because they didn't want her as a woman to be a judge. So we'll be back more here on Mi Gente on air with Mrs. Della Chentaca.
Looking to grow something?
This is Mi Gente on air on WSGW.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for being with me here today on this May 1st, 2026 day. We are all gearing up here in Saginaw for a great Cinco de Mayo celebration. The parade starts at 10:30 a.m. Lineup will be, earlier. You can get there to Russ Street by 7 in the morning if you like, but the parade will actually start at 10:30, and then the fiesta over at the Joke Credit Union Event Park starts at 12 noon. We have the Ballet Folklorico of Detroit, Conjunto Cheese, Deseo, Grupo Deseo, and we got Bumper Gomez coming from San Antonio, Texas. So there's a lot that's going to be happening with over 10 food trucks in the presence of, making Mexican foods. And then we have the dance, the Gran Baile, that's happening at the Union Civica 2715 Wadsworth. And that's the doors open at 7 p.m. and the dance will be from 8 p.m. to 12 midnight. So a lot happening. I pray to God that all my Civica All-Stars are ready and are going to be able to get through the whole day. We got a lot going on. We got great food, great music, and great people. But today, right here, I have my Tia Della Chentaca. She is with me, and she's going to be riding in the parade as the parade grand marshal down Michigan Avenue. And I got to tell you, the parade going down Michigan Avenue north to the Saginaw United School on Niagara, that's a long parade. So, Tia, I hope you have the stamina. But please, if you feel like it's too cold or it's, tough, wave to the crowd from the window. We'll shut she's going to be in a convertible,
and
if possible.
I wanted to let you know I have a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
My nurse that's going to be in the parade. She says, I'm going to be watching you.
Yeah. And she's going to have a lot of family members, all her grandchildren.
Members.
How many grandchildren are going to be walking next to you?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. At least 60.
Wow, that's a lot.
At least, maybe less. I don't know. Because I have a lot of people from out of town. Colorado, Texas, California.
Wow, and they're coming for the parade?
No, I don't think so.
They'll be watching.
They'll be watching,
They'll
yeah.
be watching.
Well, the thing is because she has so many grandchildren and all, and like I said, she's got a lot of nieces and nephews that may be walking with her. I've invited them all. If you're her elder nieces and nephews and you want to walk with her, feel free to, because this is really a beautiful thing for our family, because she represents a generation that meant so much to all of us. So she's the second generation here in America, born here. She was actually born here, but her immigrant parents came in 1919.
They were the first.
As a result of the what was going on with the Mexican Revolution. Dia, I know that so much that you and I talk about is the memories and the history of Saginaw, the city itself, and there are many times where you share what we as Latinos, we say chisme. We talk about people in the past and because of my affiliation with the Unión Cívica Mexicana, I pretty much know a lot of history myself because I've always played an interest of it. Many years ago, when you lived on Hosmer, and I'm talking about 1969, 1970, did you ever think that I would grow up to be this historian in the city and know all this information about history? What did you think of me back then?
I remember going to the parades because I loved the parades.
No, but what do you remember about me personally as your nephew when I was 5 years old?
Oh my gosh, Larry! I lived where I saw when you were. I knew where you were born.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom brought you over and showed you, and I was excited. I held you, and all through the years you were growing, I got to see you almost every day because your mom and I were like this.
2 peas in a pod.
Yep. So, sometimes you were bad, but you were nice most of the time, and you had that beautiful smile, too.
Well, thank you, Tia. I remember being on Hosmer Street, and Tia got a brand new table, a dining room table, and there used to be this dog that the family had. It was called Tippy, and Tippy would be barking at me in my face, and I happened to take and I actually remember it was like scissors, and I scratched her brand new table. Do you remember that, Tia?
Yes, I remember hearing it, and I told you stop. But then after you would come back.
Yeah. Well, those memories that I have, and I think I can attest to some of my siblings and some of the other cousins, many times if you went to Hosmer Street, that's where everything was happening.
Yes.
Tia Della's house was the house where we all gathered. After Grandma Cecilia had passed and all, it was Tia Della's house.
And I'm sure the Medels could, say that every time they wanted to have a party, we would invite them to our house, and we would have a party every weekend just about.
Yeah, the pictures that we have.
And then it moved to the basement in our new home.
Well, Uncle Jack,
was fun.
Uncle Jack Chintaka, he was very outgoing. He talked with everybody. He was welcoming to all of Tia's family, and so that's why, that was the gathering house with all the cousins. If the cousins came from Texas, from Galveston, Aunt Rosie's family, we all gathered there. And that was part of the reason why we started our family reunions.
Yes.
I think we just had the 8th family reunion. They're not every year, but since 1987, we had the first one. Well, actually, 1969 is the first family reunion.
First family reunion.
But I want people to know your involvement, Tia, in regards to the boxing with Uncle Jack. I know that was a big part of his life, and as a result, your life.
My sons.
And your sons were boxers, Danny and
they were
Johnny
the first.
Chintaka. Mm-hmm.
He used to train them at the house. And then when Daniel turned 15, he put him in the Golden Gloves.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a popular boxer.
He was the first recipient of the Piazza Award.
Yes.
Man, back in the 70s. I remember that, and that big trophy.
Yes.
I believe it's at the Castle Museum still. Yeah. So my cousin Danny Chintaka was an amazing boxer, young man. I think he was only 15 at the time when he won that award. But they went on to be Golden Glove champs. And my Uncle Jack Chintaka, he went on to be honored by the Golden Gloves of the state of Michigan for his involvement in boxing and teaching these young men the skill. My Tia Della here, sometime around 1975, she took on the idea of actually being a judge for boxing, judging the bouts that were happening with their boxers as well as boxers across the state of Michigan. Tell me about that, Tia, because there was a real movement against you that you withstood and beat.
Right. Well, I used to go be assigned to the boxing shows in Flint, Detroit, all over. I even was a judge in New York and Florida. And when they had boxing shows here in Saginaw, they would send me. They sent me. You know,
They would send you to the bouts in Lansing.
they would send me a paper, saying you are
eligible.
You are going to be the judge in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when the Lions Club found out, they said no, we don't allow ladies in our boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a big fight. Well,
And there was a woman that you once told me that was the first woman judge in the state of
First
Michigan.
woman judge, yes.
And she helped you.
She's the one that taught me.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, I went to Lansing for the training for a year. I went over there for the training.
And you got your license to be a
And
judge.
that's when I got my first license.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I remember the news article that came out in the Saginaw News. I think it was 1975.
Oh, yeah. I still have that.
Yeah, it was a big thing at the time, and you withstood your ground. And I remember being very proud of you then. I was like 10 years old.
I did.
And they had you.
They had to put me on.
Yeah, they had to put you on
Yes.
because
Because that came from the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
The paper.
How many years would you say you did that as a judge?
As a judge, your uncle was involved we were involved about 20 years. So I counted at least 12 to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
12 maybe.
Well, I remember that there was a big mobile home that you and Uncle Jack bought
Yes.
to
Yes.
cart around the boxers. And
Yeah.
about 5 years ago, I was talking with Ernie Garza. Not Ernie Garza, the one that was boxing at the time, but the one that was boxing in the 70s. And Ernesto Garza, we call him Ernie. He talked about, he remembers a big snowstorm, and you were driving the mobile, what was it? You know what I'm going to say, right?
I learned to drive that motorhome.
Yeah, motorhome.
I was really good at it. So my husband used to let me drive because he was having one beer.
Yeah, and Ernie actually remembers you taking the wheel and just like, you're sliding all over the place.
Well, I started sliding, you know. It was a bad storm. I started sliding and I tried to turn the wheel so we wouldn't go in that ditch. Well, it wasn't a ditch, thank God. But we got stuck in the snow.
Yeah.
So we had to have help to get out of there and continue on to the boxing show in Gaylord.
Wow.
That was in Gaylord.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
I thought it was quite funny that Ernie,
They
that was
all
his memory.
laughed. Everybody laughed.
Yeah.
All the boys were laughing at me and coming at me, knowing them my shoulders. He said, well, he let you drive. He let you drive.
Yeah, Della the chauffeur, not only a boxing judge, but a chauffeur getting the boxers to the game.
I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with these boys.
Mm-hmm.
I was their nurse. I was their laundry girl. I was their cook.
Oh, yeah.
I was everything to those boys.
And there's so many. Is there any that come to the top of your head? The Carter boys and the Rodriguezes,
Oh, yes.
the Garzas.
Yes, we always had. We were the ones that had the most, and the other trainers, they told the Lions Club that I was being the judge and I was judging all of our kids. Well, that wasn't true because I could not judge other boys from other teams.
That were boxing your
Oh,
boxers.
no, I mean...
You meant the opposite.
I mean, on my team, I could not judge.
Yeah.
But the others were, because if I did it, they would complain about it. So I only did a couple of them, and I think I was fair,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I do remember the Golden Gloves era at that time in the 70s. It was huge. And they would have the big bouts even at the Civic Center, the Saginaw Civic Center. And my best friend at the time, Rudy Rodriguez, He came out there and he knocked them down, and it was a great fight. But Rudy came victorious away and won that fight, and we were all proud of him as well as all of Uncle Jack's boxers. And Johnny, cousin Johnny, your son,
Yes.
a great boxer as well. Also,
He's the one that
was a
took
Golden
us all
Glove
the way
champ.
to Florida.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I could
So many memories, huh?
tell so many. Yeah.
And you know, Dia, and I want to express this to my audience. You know, anytime you talk about my Dia or my Uncle Jack, my Dio, to any of those boxers today, they have the utmost respect. You taught them lessons as young men. You kept them off the streets. Conrad Rios was one of them, I remember. Mike Leal, like I said, Ernie Garza. There were just so many. Fred Perez,
Yes.
so many. And they were most of them were all my friends.
And
And I remember going with you guys sometimes on that mobile. What did you call it? Mobile
motorhome.
motorhome. And I would go.
We had the first motorhome here, the Diaz family anyway.
Yeah,
And I wanted to say one more thing.
go ahead.
When Uncle Jack decided to retire, he told Juan Garcia that he wanted him to take over his boxing club.
Yes.
So he trained him to become a trainer,
Mm-hmm.
and he's the one that has the boxing show.
Yeah.
So he does a wonderful job.
And his grandson now.
And
is
his
doing-
grandson
yeah.
is, yes.
And his
it's
son
good
did
to-
it a few times
Yes.
for a few years, and now his grandson over at the old former GI Forum building has his
Right.
yeah. In the Carlton Bar and the Gentaka boxing gym was all in the area of
We had
Carlton.
the plantation.
The Plantation Bar.
Yeah, above the plantation bar, there was a big hall, and the owner of the bar let us have that free. So
Mm-hmm.
we trained there a lot.
Well, Thea, you know, I have had many guests on this show. I've been doing this for 5 years now. And I mentioned early on the beginning of the show that you are my oldest guest. It is a great honor. I wish I could take a picture of you right now because you look stunning. You are absolutely beautiful sitting over there. You do not look like you're 95 years of age.
Well,
And it's just a wonderful feeling in my heart to be able to share with the community my great aunt here, who was my mother's best friend. They were two peas in a pod. My mother was 6 months older than my tia, but that was her aunt too. And so they were in the cribs together, very young, and she just has great fond memories. I remember picking peaches with her and my mom, and blueberries out in Hemlock.
Oh, my.
We would strawberries. We would they would
Wonderful.
freeze them. We would can them. And I'll tell you what. And I think anybody who's out there that can remember the days in the 70s or 80s when they used to can tomatoes, bushels of tomatoes.
Yeah.
I have that great memory on Hosmer Street where you would walk in the house and Diadella was canning tomatoes. That smell.
You used to like to eat the tomatoes
Oh, yeah.
when we peeled them.
And you know, my cousin Pauline Orozco Cap, she and I went over to Tia's house probably about 8 years ago, and we canned tomatoes with you just to have the experience again because we missed it.
Yeah.
And, you know, so Pauline and I had a wonderful time with her. And, you know, the memories that I've had of my tia cooking in her basement. She cooked for the Saginaw Board of Education. She cooked for AT&T. She had big clients. AAA. And she cooked for Uncle Jack when he worked in the plant and made taquitos. And you know, I mean, this woman has been cooking for so many years, and it was never a burden, I don't think, to her because she enjoyed cooking. She loved cooking, and there are times now in her 90s where I come over to the house and she is in front of the stove still. She might be in her wheelchair, but she is cutting up jalapenos. She's cutting up onions, and you know, it's just really amazing. But you know, there was a point where she was making tamales as well, and she loved bringing all of us together who helped her.
Yes.
But there came a point we said, "Tia, no more." It was too much.
Oh, yeah.
But she
It is.
shared that gift with me, and I think that I have mastered the tamales. Not as good as my tias, they never will be,
You
but
have.
they're very close.
They're very good.
And I
They're
love
very-
sharing them with her. She's my taste tester.
Yes.
For the community when we have the tamale taste off. So, but that's what I'm inspired by. I'm inspired by her gift, her culinary gifts, and what she has shared with her family. And that's why I cook what I do, like at the Unión Cívica
If
Mexicana.
anybody likes the Mexican food, come to Larry because Larry makes the best pozole, menudo, enchiladas. Oh my goodness. Everything is so good, Larry.
Well, thank you, Tia. When my Tia has been in the hospital and she has gotten out and she needs a boost, I make her caldo de res.
Yeah.
And she, it's surprising to us because we're like, oh, my cousin Eleanor will say, no, she's not going to eat that much. I said, well, let's just all put it in the bowl. And we come back and she's eating the whole bowl. And it gives her strength. So we're so I feel so happy when she does that.
And I like I love Mexican food. That's what I like for her to cook, is Mexican food.
Yeah. Well, Tia, tomorrow you will be on the Camaro and you will be waving to the crowd.
That'll
What do
be
you
my
want to
day.
say to the people?
Oh, that'll be my day.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Larry.
Oh, it
I
wasn't
wanna-
just me.
And I want to thank all the ladies from the
The Civica.
Unión Cívica Mexicana, because if it wasn't for you I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But I'd be at the parade, I think, as long
Yeah.
as it was nice.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be wearing these nice things.
Yeah.
And I've got a dress that I might wear. It'll look beautiful.
Well, I just want to give acknowledgement to her daughter Eleanor, her daughter Gloria, her daughter Christina, she mentioned, her daughter Rita, and Johnny, her son, and her son Danny. They have the best mother, and I know they're all so proud of you. They will be so proud of you tomorrow. We all will, Tia.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because-
I love my kids so much.
And all the grandchildren and all the nieces, the nephews. I will be the biggest cheerleader for you out there.
And I'm here for all of them. I hope they remember me.
Well, Tia, thank you so much for being my guest here today. The show is come to an end, and I know that many people will watch this, and I just feel so blessed, and I know that I speak for most of my family, the nieces and nephews, all of us, because
Thank you, Larry.
God has graced us
Thank
with this
you,
woman
thank
of
you.
grace.
And I'm so glad that I'm feeling good for this.
All right, we'll see everybody next week, but I want everybody to know everybody's invited to the 47th annual Cinco de Mayo Saginaw. It's a great tradition that we have a cultural extravaganza, and please come out to the parade and the festival, and even the dance if you'd like.
See you then.
We'll see you next week. Adios.
Rocket Grab Plus.